care if it's on the Nintendo 64, the PS1, or even the damn Game Boy. I don't want to do this. Oh, what? I don't care that we're live now. I'd love more than anything for the viewers to see how much of a dick you are, Jake, forcing me to review this crap without anything to gain from it. Look. Okay. Yes, bro. I do appreciate this opportunity. Yes. Alright. I got this. Oh, hey, yo, this is WrestleBound. This frickin' Warzone. I'm gonna hide now. Okay, bye.
You know, they say a fine wine gets better with age. Well, tell that to Mae Young's Handchild and this game. WWF Warzone was developed by Acclaim's Iguana West, formerly Sculptured Software for the Nintendo 64 and original PlayStation, while being developed by Probe Entertainment for the Game Boy Color. All of them were published under the Acclaim Sports label. Remember that? That short-lived attempt to compete with EA Sports and they wanted you to feel it? Whatever it was, I have no idea. The game came out only in North America and Europe during the summer months of June, July, and August respectively. Support can go up to 2 to 4 players depending on the version, and the ESRB rated the console ports a T for teen, while the handheld variant got an E for everyone. I guess the box was ahead of its time by 17 years, having Cold Stone as the cover star. I only have the box for the PS1 disc while the N64 and Game Boy carts are loose. But it's just about the same spiel with different screenshots. I mean, it seems pretty plain with this weird choice of white. It doesn't really give off attitude, but that era was only getting started. Now where do we get started with this garbage? It really doesn't matter as they're all gonna be unpleasant. I guess we're gonna have to lean into the pain, yeah! And start with the best of the worst on the PS1. Like I said, we're at a very specific point in wrestling. More like several months apart from current events. Though Stone Cold is champion at the time, there's random roster members that date the game back, like British Bulldog, Ahmed Johnson, and Bret Hart.
And the screw job happened in November! What?
This game is weird already when you think about it that way, but wait till you see the rest of how this game goes. This Warzone apparently takes place in a warehouse with a service elevator. When will it take place at Titan Tower so I can throw Mick Foley off the roof? Wishful thinking as that building is up for sale now, so let's head straight into a versus match and figure out who to be. The roster, while dated by this point, is still chock full of great talent and the headbangers. But who should I be?
Kevin! The get-go!
I guess there's no better wrestler to be than Stone Cold.
And that's the bottom line.
And it appears that I can't choose my opponent, so the game randomly chose Mosh for me, a year before he'd become incestual with his mama. The presentation is interesting to say the least, but it goes downhill rather quick.
Welcome to the World Wrestling Federation, the revolutionary force in sports.
Oh wow, Vince on commentary? How long was this game in development for? Seemed to take longer than 2K20 ever did.
I'll admit at the start that I had no idea what I was doing, but I kinda have an understanding of how it works. Don't be alarmed by how fast your meter goes down, as they're just showing your health decreasing via color. When one color depletes, you'll get stunned for a period of time, then the meter will refill with a different shade of color reflecting your condition. Buttons are straightforward with triangle to punch, square to kick, X to block, and circle to do a collar and elbow tie-up or pin, but that's as much as I could figure out as I was very much getting squashed by Mosh. Come on, Stunning Steve, did you walk out on the company again to deserve this shit? I'm just gonna phone it in and say I got ahead of myself, so I'm gonna see if training mode can help me with whatever these controls are. So from what I understand, to execute more complex moves, you'll have to use a combination of the D-pad and buttons like with most games, but the combo can extend to 3 to 4 taps. maybe even more. Each character has their own unique moveset, so there's going to be plenty to memorize, and I guess it's kinda like Street Fighter 2, but I don't see any Hadouken. So let's head back in the ring, and my opponent this time is Mankind, a step up. Now it can be believable when I get my ass handed. I'll quickly mention what the shoulder buttons do. Both L1 and R1 are used for a sidestep dodge in that direction. R2 is to run, and L2 can make you climb the turnbuckle or get in and out of the ring. There are several meters as well as stun that can pop up when you're in a submission or pinning predicament, which is where I found myself plenty of times. As you probably guessed, I lost.
Well, this is a Warzone, right? So I guess we should fight like it is a Warzone. Let's try the other matches.
I want to preface this by saying there are more matches available if there were more players, but I obviously don't have the luxury of anybody being present.
Not that anybody wants to take me on. I'm in tip-top shape. The fuck you are. Cody, hell out of here.
I immediately went to a weapons match where Ahmed and Undertaker squared off. I don't know if that ever actually happened in real life, but...
Ha! Now you know this shit is fake, as nobody could lift a CRT and throw it in the ring. That has to be tiny or it has all its components ripped out.
This is as extreme as it gets in the Warzone with chairs, cameras, 2x4s, and the like. And I guess that's the ticket to me winning, as I got the pin over the dead man.
You know who would be dead if this was an IRL match? Ahmed. But I'm sure this is way better than getting tongue from gold dust.
Other matches include a cage match where I, the world's most dangerous man Ken Shamrock, beat the living shit out of Shawn Michaels, escaped the cage to win, which I did, learning along the way I can only win with stipulation matches.
Who needs proper rules? Let's just have no DQ matches and not tell anybody like WCW.
Tag matches are self-explanatory, but they break down as fast as they do in AEW. I went with the only true tag team in the game, but trying to tag in and out was a chore, and I eventually lost to the makeshift tag team of Mankind and Owen Hart.
Headbangers are so hardcore.
Challenge looks like a ranking style ordeal to get to the world title, but we'll come back to that as I would like to take part, so let's create me.
Surely they couldn't botch that.
A few moments later.
This was abysmal. It was limited, sure, but that comes down to the times. What really stunk was the controls, surprisingly. They're definitely not how you would expect them, and I won't tell you what they're like cause I'm not the only one that's gonna suffer. But after figuring it out and not having the best options available, this is what I got.
I think this ranks as the very worst caw I've ever made. Guess we'll have to keep track after today.
Well, let's head into challenge and see if I can win a title. This is basically like a tier list of a selection of the roster where if you win or lose a match, you'll move accordingly. Wins and losses matter in the WWF? I thought they weren't direct competition. I was able to pull off one win against Thrasher, but got put back in my place against Farouk.
Total blowout? Fuck off. And that's where I called it, cause it's bad. I don't want to go through this crap for another second, and the fans hate me. Hey, shut your mouth. No, you shut. Hey, don't cheer for him, cheer for me. I am the main event. I am me.
If you are interested in unlockables, most of them come through this mode, but I'm just so done by this point to even attempt getting one of them.
It's a real drag with these controls, but I do know what can brighten the mood slightly, and if you know the right cheat code like I do, you'll see why this version of Warzone is considered superior.
Before that, we'll quickly look at all other menu selections. Options have your basic things to adjust like sound and difficulty.
Turn off the announcers. As much as I love the silence from the last two games, the combo of Vince and JR in the booth is very foreign to me that I have to keep it.
High score confused me as it showed me the record of one roster member, and I didn't know how to see others. Biographies let you look at the roster and check out their billing and stats individually, and of course listen to their classic themes. Hey, remember when Rocky Maivia was in The Nation? of domination. Okay, now the main event. When you're at the start screen and you input a certain button code, you'll see small white text that say movie. Now you'll be able to watch all the roster hate on you in various promos that are supposed to come up during the challenge mode, but I couldn't get one to trigger. But now you can enjoy Bret Hart's dirty stash, British Bulldog looking at his lines, Farouk wishing he was elsewhere but still getting a paycheck, and Ahmed Johnson just jiggling his pecs in anger. It's interesting who gets more screen time, like Thrasher gets 1 promo while Mosh gets like 4, but the Rattlesnake never fails to give it 110%.
Yeah, forget about your sharpshooters
Yeah.
and your Pearl River plunges and all that other trash.
I don't care if he wrestles again, can you just cut another promo like that?
These FMV cutscenes are a glimmer of light over a terribly dark experience. And speaking of dark, why is it so dark in this warehouse? Why is the ring on fire? And what?
What is that? Is that what Vince thought Stephanie would look like in several years? Well, at least he would get the boobs right eventually.
These are actually enticing me to try out Challenge again just so I can see these scenes play out in game. But then I remember how it plays and I'd just rather not continue. I'm not kidding when I say the controls are bad. It's pretty complicated even when trying to emulate an arcade style of gameplay. I just don't think it works. Even taking away today's standards, I don't think I would have enjoyed it then either. It's tough to execute different moves in succession unless you really study the moveset of your character, which can take a while to do, but I know you Smarks have all the time in the world to do that. Besides those FMV segments, there isn't much I could recommend here. It's dated. Very dated. Dated like any reference WWE makes in the modern day. Like quoting Three's Company. Oh, I did that last week. It's a good show though.
I would be pissed if I had to pay full price when it was new. Thank God I only paid $5, but I still feel like this is a bunch of money-wasting crap. Speaking of which, here's more of it that you can buy.
The bits are now twice as much, but we're not here to do the math. We're here to see if there's any difference. And would you believe there is none?
Acclaim gets my acclaim for being lazy bastards.
I mean, to its credit, it runs faster for one, and all FMV scenes got the axe, but that's about all the difference there is. Oh no, wait, I stand corrected. We got 2 other match types to try out, so I might as well show them off. Gauntlet matches, I assume, put you against 3 opponents one at a time, and I say assume as I couldn't get past the first. The Royal Rumble works like how it did on SmackDown with 4 at a time, and it's one of the shorter Rumbles you can get on a console, because there's only 16 wrestlers on the roster, unless you create more to make up the field. I couldn't get an elimination out of it as I couldn't figure out how to Irish whip or do an elimination move, so I got eliminated more often than not. You can come back as the next character in your slot, but I'd rather not waste my time or yours.
Different console, mostly the same shit. But I'll tell you what, this is the first time I had to hold a controller like this. How are you supposed to hold one of these anyway?
So I would question why you do this, but if a company wanted to maximize potential profits, it makes sense to port it over to the Game Boy.
Playing on the Super Nintendo with the Super Game Boy, cause I ain't no bitch. Why are crawfish in my wrestling game?
I wasn't expecting much, but they were able to keep a good amount of stuff between the versions, apart from a few match types and missing wrestlers like the Headbangers and Bret Hart. Wonder why.
A piece of shit.
I decided to go for Goldust to see how they outlined him in 8 bits, and keeping with the theme of not being able to choose your opponent, I hit random and I got...
Now you couldn't get more perfect than that if you tried.
Without hesitation, I can already tell you, the controls are even worse. You think it'd be box standard shit for the Game Boy, but it's even more complicated when trying to pull off more complex moves, as you only got 2 buttons and the D-pad.
How can I even do anything with this? I don't even know how to win at life, let alone play this.
Literally, the only thing I can do is either attack or grapple, Irish whip Ahmed Johnson, or roll around all across the mat.
This sucks. This legitimately sucks. I've only played 1 match, and I hate it.
I did try the other matches, but I got the same result. This just doesn't work. And I'm of the belief that wrestling games rarely ever work on a handheld. Like, you're already limited in scope with what you can do, so why even bother? The only conclusion is trying to maximize that profit margin, not really to make a good game.
I don't want to knock the devs here, as I'm sure they were doing their best, especially on the console versions, but I think I would take Probe and send them on a probe to parts unknown where they'd be banished for all eternity, forced to read Ultimate Warrior's weird comic where he raped Santa for giving us this waste of cartridge space. And hell no, I don't think that's harsh at all.
To my shock and awe, Warzone for its day was received quite favorably, at least the console ports were. The Game Boy version got very little fanfare and only got a review from Nintendo Power, and they nearly buried that port. There's been some interest in the prototype beta of Warzone, back when it was known as WWF 98. It looked like it was stuck in the new generation as the arenas looked bright and colorful, but it'd be interesting to see that prototype be found and dumped if it hasn't been already. The engine for the console games would end up being reused 2 years later for the ECW game Anarchy Rules, and that got more of a negative response, holding to my belief that this type of wrestling gameplay hasn't aged quite so well.
Was Raw ever referred to as the Warzone? I don't recall hearing that when watching an episode from that period, apart from seeing a random intro graphic at times. Oh, I guess I haven't gone back far enough. Well, if this game resembles what went on screen during that time, I guess I wasn't missing much, was I?
The Federation was struggling around this time, but they were moving on up in the ratings by now. But this game made them look like they were stuck in the far past. The PS1 version is superior only due to the cutscenes, but it doesn't say much with the controls and overall aesthetic, not up to par with what would come later. And if only the reviewers knew what would come, this game would have gotten the same reception its ECW counterpart did. The N64 version is faster, but that's about all there is to mention, and on the Game Boy, credit for trying, but they really should never try porting a wrestling game when the controls are getting more complex and require more buttons than a handheld could provide. Safe to say I wasted way too much money on all these games. Probably about 15. Don't be like me, get them all for 3. That is if you want to try out some outdated games with the worst control like Vince has over the WWE Universe.
PS1, 2 stars, N64, 1.5 stars, the Game Boy gets a 1 star for shit sure, combining them all for a grand total of get out of my life. God, those games really pissed me off. They just made me go woo in pain. I'm not going to be playing those games for the rest of my life. I feel like getting revenge.